Busy, noisy, and ever-changing. UK cities weren't built with wildlife in mind. But these hectic environments can host an array of life. Just as we find our own place in these urban communities, so too do many other species. Their extraordinary stories unfolding, often unnoticed, alongside our own. Perhaps the oldest story is one we overlook every day. Feral pigeons are truly an urban bird. City-living rock doves, wild descendants of flocks that have been domesticated throughout our history for food, religion, sport, and communication. Their natural foods of seeds and grains are supplemented by human scraps to sustain huge populations. While man-made structures provide similar sanctuary and perches as their ancestral homes of caves and cliffs, safe from predators and other threats. But living beside man isn't all beneficial. We drop more than just food. Wires, thread, even hair can wrap around limbs and cause significant damage. While sustained overpopulation leads to poor living conditions and disease. But some species are faring much better. Urban gull populations are on the rise. They have always been accomplished hunters and scavengers, so it's no surprise they know where to find an easy meal. With heavy beaks and strong feet. They use the same skills as their rural cousins when hunting for food, gaining the height advantage to steal from unsuspecting competition. Except here, that competition is us. Taking position and waiting for the right moment. The strike. Meanwhile, many miles inland, some gulls are adopting a more suburban lifestyle. Along the rooftops and chimneys, they have found a safe and comfortable spot for an important part of their city life. This young gull is simply staying close to his parents. But he's not as welcome as he once was. And there's a very good reason. Anchored in place by the chimney and sheltered by the brickwork, this nest is a great location to raise the next generation of urban gull. The parents have formed a lifelong bond, and for the first month one of them will always stay with the nest, whilst they share the task of travelling many miles to collect food. But their tireless efforts will soon pay off. After a few weeks, the chicks have more than doubled in size and weight. The parents spend less time at the nest, and when they're close, they're often tantalisingly out of reach. And so these young birds must learn to live alongside their rooftop neighbours. And the exercise is worth it. With a little wind under the wings, he makes a key breakthrough. It may not be far, but it's a vital step to independence and survival. The first flight, a long urban life. Below the rooftops is another significant urban environment. Just as man-made, but altogether more diverse and colourful. A single garden may be small, but collectively they cover an area larger than our protected habitats, and so are undeniably important to much of our country's wildlife. But while we focus on the beautiful and the colourful, it is often the more forgotten corners of the garden where life goes on unseen. After 6 years underground as a larva, one garden resident finally emerges. This male stag beetle has surfaced for a single purpose. He stops to check the air, but he's not looking for the typical garden perfumes of lavender or roses. He's searching for pheromones released by the female of the species. But he must hurry. He's not the only one who's picked up this chemical signal. And so there is only one course of action. The loser isn't hurt, but recognizes his defeat, while the victor can continue on towards the female. While garden life continues on above them, these beetles can now move on to the important task at hand. After mating, she will burrow deep into the undergrowth to lay her eggs in rotten wood that will hopefully remain undisturbed long enough for future generations to survive. Other creatures will also spend their entire lives in neglected corners of the garden. Out of sight, shy and secretive creatures go about their days. Relatively common, but rarely seen. Living for up to 30 years on a diet of slugs and snails, slowworms are limbless lizards, but in urban areas will often use the warmth and shelter of compost heaps as home. But a single garden can't sustain large populations of life. Roads and fences isolate areas, cutting through the landscape, making survival harder. But leave any area long enough, and you can see signs of life. Plants colonize first, and from there other life can be supported. All the way through to large predators like this peregrine falcon, increasingly laying claim to these modern cliff faces, drawn in by an abundance of prey species. Urban areas can sustain an incredible variety of life. Some we interact with every day, while others are less comfortable in our presence. They are silent shareholders in our urban futures, relying on us to make decisions for the benefit of all of the city's inhabitants, not just its people.